So the other thing is that it's being a little bit slower at Microsoft because of security reasons and the privacy of our data. So that's the other thing that I've been seeing, that at least corporations are doing some of the due diligence to keep the data and protect. And not only for them, but at least what I've seen at Microsoft, that's our #1 priority. Not put any of the customer data at risk, especially with Copilot. So that also gives me like a little more like optimistic point of view of where we're going.
Yeah, I think a couple of years ago, maybe even like 1 year ago, was a lot about like, do designers need to code, or do design teams need to know coding capabilities? I think now with vibe coding, all of the different things, like things just have become so accessible that things start to merge. I think it's interesting how that discussion kind of evolved. And we were talking also earlier before, you just mentioned about like that you can go all the way now in your process, right? In the innovation process of new products, right? Including the development. Now, of course, this feels empowering, right? You can cover more. And obviously, I think the design community is empowered, obviously, to do now more, maybe, touching on product, touching on development, cover more things. Some may say, like, we don't need the product and the developer anymore, right? We're kind of talking about this, but probably the product people think the same way. The product people probably think, like, we don't need the design anymore, we don't need the product, the developers anymore, and the developers think the same way, right? So I think it's kind of everyone in the process kind of feels empowered to cover more length. And yeah, it's going to be interesting as far as like how roles are evolving, right? I think it's definitely happening right now. What companies are looking for. Yeah, go ahead.
Just on the nobody needs anybody anymore, this question. The problem we're going to face is that the more we churn out via an AI tool, the more design debt, the more engineering debt we're going to introduce into our products. And somebody's going to have to fix that eventually. We can't just rely on creating stuff. More stuff is a problem. We have to focus on the business problem that we want to solve and our users. We always have to come back to that. Regardless of what your job title is, you can have a good idea. I don't have a problem with that. We don't have a problem with that. If a product manager wants to make a prototype, absolutely, sure. If the designer wants to code up something, absolutely, but it has to be the right problem to be solved, and not just doing it for the sake of doing it.
I want to add that something the CVP of my organization recently said is that we all shared the product ownership